Hello and welcome to a very hot Vallelunga circuit outside Rome, where I'm here to drive this, the Lamborghini Huracan STO. What is a Huracan STO? Well, arguably it is peak Huracan and the kind of ultimate development of a car which when it launched was good but maybe not perfect. So what have they done to make it better? Well, thankfully they've stuck with the bits that were already good. So it's got the same 5.2 litre V10 naturally aspirated engine in all its high revving glory, 640 horsepower in this one. It's got the same dual clutch gearbox. The STO is based on the rear wheel drive version of the Huracan Evo, so it gets that car's rear wheel steering and a few other features like that. But it also gets some of its own unique features which are completely new to the Huracan and kind of shift the emphasis from what was a supercar, you know, a lovely supercar for people who want to make some noise and look cool, and kind of track Lamborghini's evolution in the time that this car has been on sale from a supercar brand into a true sports car brand, competing in GT3 competition against Mercedes-AMG, Audi, Porsche, Aston Martin, Ferrari, McLaren, all these other supercar brands. Lamborghini is now there racing in GT3. It also has its Gentleman Drivers Super Trofeo series, and the STO is kind of a road-going celebration of both the Super Trofeo and the GT3 car. It's designed to be used as a track car that you can drive home after the track day, and in that sense it has a kind of a more extreme vibe, but also maintains the usability of an everyday Huracan. What have they changed? Well, quite a lot actually. So the bodywork is pretty different. So we've still got aluminium doors and roof, but everything else is carbon fibre. So it's now 75% carbon fibre on the outside. We've got this completely new front clam, and it sounds pretty cool as well. So we've got this front clam here which directs air in here and out here to help with both cooling and with downforce. We've got these race car style louvers on the top of the wings here, again extracting hot air from the wheel arches in the usual way to reduce pressure on the front end. And then as we move down the car, we've got these brand new rear wings which are totally different. They've got a NASA duct to feed the engine here. They also cover a slightly wider track than any other Huracan that they've built so far, but they've reduced the frontal area as well, so it's actually, the aerodynamic efficiency is actually much better than even the Performante. This snorkel on the top, that helps draw air through the car, again helping with cooling, and this shark's fin helps with lateral stability and the airflow over the rear wing. The rear wing is analog compared with the high-tech blown wing that the Performante had, so you can position it in 3 different settings according to which track you're on, but it doesn't do the fancy aero vectoring. It's much more, it's like a racing car in that sense. It's designed for downforce and the corners. So in fact this is actually the slowest Huracan they've made so far in terms of top speed, but in terms of cornering and all the rest, it should be the quickest, you would hope. We've got high-level exhaust as debuted on the Performante and then carried over to the Huracan. This one has the semi-slick kind of road legal track day tyre option, which seems to hold up to these hot conditions very nicely indeed. And of course a trendy olive green finish which by some coincidence matches my t-shirt. So there we are, there is the car, there's the circuit. I think we'll go out there and give it a run. So what was wrong with the original Huracan LP610-4, and what has Lamborghini done to this STO to try and address those flaws? Well, here I am at Vallelunga, shouting over a very noisy engine in an attempt to find out. So I feel like I've been on a bit of a journey with this car. I've been lucky enough to drive pretty much every version of it since that original LP610, and so I feel in a position to comment on what they've done to this car and how it picks up from where the Huracan started. So I think originally, from that original launch in Ascari, I think it was pretty evident that the car it looked great, looked fantastic, made a fantastic noise as well, obviously. Lamborghini knows how to make a really exciting, high-revving, naturally aspirated engine, and that remains the Huracan's real kind of signature feature in this turbocharged age, doesn't it? So the base ingredients were great, but there was just some finessing. Mainly it was the steering. On our first launch, the thing that really stood out as being disappointing was this kind of the strange Audi donated dynamic steering, they called it. And in a corner like this tight one here, it would flip-flop from between a ratio of about 9:1 to 17:1, which is a huge range when you consider that most Ferraris and cars like that have a rack of about 12, 13:1, things like that, McLarens, in that kind of range. So the steering would just flop around and feel really, really imprecise. Sometimes it would even unwind halfway through a corner, which made it feel literally disconnected because your inputs at the wheel were sometimes completely different from corner to corner in terms of the output you got at the front wheel. So it just made it really, really inconsistent to drive. So one of the things they've done with this, since they went for the Evo and added the rear wheel steering, thankfully for this one, they've fixed the steering rack, literally in both senses. They've fixed the rack ratio to, I think it's 13.4:1. Sorry for all these numbers, but it does matter. And just through corners like this, I can just feel that linearity in the steering. I can feel there's actually some weight now in the steering. I can push against the front tyres. I know how much grip I've got. And it just makes driving on a track so much more satisfying. I think originally the Huracan was kind of prioritised for the posers, you know, the guys who wanted a car that looked good, made loads of noise, was easy to drive in town and all that kind of thing. But now it's nice to see the Lamborghini feels emboldened to create a car that actually drives. And it's interesting, the cars they benchmarked, you know, they've looked at things like the 911 GT3 RS, the McLaren 620R, I would imagine as well, things like the AMG GT Black Series. These are all the cars that Lamborghini now competes against in GT3. And that's new, isn't it? Because we never really thought of Lamborghini as a motorsports manufacturer, did we? It was a, you know, it was a supercar manufacturer. But now it's out there competing. It's got 3 Daytona 24-hour titles to its credit, 3 consecutive wins in that race, wins in GT3 all over the world, and then its gentleman driver Super Trofeo versions as well. So now Lamborghini is operating in a world it's never really been in before. So this car's a big statement, it's a big moment. They're actually delivering a car for people in those circles, the gentleman drivers who want a road-going version they can enjoy. How does it compare with other Huracans? Well, I really like the Performante. That just felt really wild. But that was obviously all-wheel drive. It had the clever aero, but that car was maximised for straight-line acceleration and noise and all the drama and all that kind of thing. It was dynamically a lot better than the standard Huracan. It was a big step up in those terms, but compared with that, this car feels another league above in terms of its focus. And again, it just comes down to that kind of track breeding with everything, the steering, the brakes, the suspension, the linearity of every control, the way you can just feel what the car is doing. It's easy to drive, it's geared up for those gentleman drivers still, but it's also rewarding. You know, through this corner I can feel, I can balance, even though it's a rear-wheel drive Huracan, I can balance it on the throttle, I can feel how much grip I've got at the front, I can feel how much I've got at the back, and in this STO, this Trofeo mode, sorry, I've got enough latitude to play with the car. There's no kind of funky multi-stage traction control like McLaren or Mercedes do in their cars, but it's got a really nice way of, it lets the car move around enough to give you a sense of when you're on the limit, but it'll still catch you before it's too late. I've had a couple of moments in the quick sessions earlier on where, you know, just a little slide just to say, got you back, but a bit like that Ferrari way, it makes you feel like a bit of a hero. It's not a kind of drift machine like Ferrari's side slip control or something like that, but it is a satisfying and rewarding car to drive hard, and it just feels like it could do this all day. I mean, literally, these cars. So we're in kind of 30-degree heat here in Vallelunga, and the guys have been saying that they've run the cars all week on the same brakes. The tyres are holding up, so it's a car that you could feasibly drive pretty hard at a track day, drive home on the same set of tyres, but out here on the circuit, I mean, given all the rivals are turbocharged, that V10 engine remains an absolute standout feature, doesn't it? I mean, just listen to it. We're going to miss this, aren't we? And I think Lamborghini is right to stick to its guns and offer, you know, be the last man standing when it comes to screaming naturally aspirated engines. They'll have to go hybrid. Everyone's going hybrid. They'll have to go electric, just like everybody else. But while we can enjoy it, we damn well should, shouldn't we? And if this is a swan song for the Huracan, it's a pretty damn good one. And it proves that in a fairly short space of time, and with this one car, Lamborghini has transformed itself from a supercar brand for, you know, no shame in it, for posers, and into a credible builder of proper sports cars that can win races, sports cars that can be turned into really rewarding road cars that can be enjoyed on the road and track like this. So, is this the Huracan's redemption? If that's the case, I'm happy. Job done.